Hey guys, welcome back. We're just continuing to have a little discussion after reading the mind-bending, mind-numbing, soul-searching, soul-wrecking book of Psalms.
Yeah, and it's an interesting conversation we're getting into. So I just hope everybody sticks around and enjoys what we have to say. I mean, even if you think that you are a Jew or one of the tribes of Israel, to really think that God chose you and you're better than everybody else, then you can't look around inside your own life and see what's going on and like really understand you're not the chosen people.
Yeah, it is an interesting thing to just contemplate on. That's why I think that really good people that have, they will listen to a preacher, pastor, pope, well, whatever your religion is based on this book. Well, you cherry pick these things, like we've said a million times. And so the good hearted nature of people, they want to reach, hold on, they want to reach out to something grander than themselves, which is totally understandable. It's why we're here. It's what we're doing is to help ourselves and others walk a path of attempting to become enlightened, to learn what it is to be human and our connection with each other. And I think that is what the majority of people want to do in all these religions, and most of them that are based on this book. However, the masses don't understand what the book is. So your belief system is based uh, on some straw in the sand.
Well, here's my problem with what you just said is that to have the ability to cherry pick, one would have to read the book.
Oh no, I'm totally saying that
Yeah,
that
it's
most preachers and pastors and popes and those things are, unless they are either total psychopaths, pure evil, or just outright idiots.
yeah. I mean, you can't. It's impossible. I mean, I would think it would be impossible to read this book and find something to cherry pick and say, okay, this is good. Like, how do you not get jaded in all the other evils of this book?
Well, you got to come on, Trey. I mean, you went to ETBU, the Baptist University, so you.
I know, and I got the cherry picking, but what I'm saying is the people that are picking the cherries, how do they read this book and pass on a positive message?
I think it goes to the same thing as just the creation of medicine, for example. I mean, you got the Pfizer report from Rockefeller. That, that you have these centralized groups that they create this system, and and then people want to learn. They want to gather around it. Oh, everybody believes this, so I want to perpetuate this good feeling and help. And so then they go to this seminary school or whatever to become, some kind of accredited spiritual leader, and they get taught only the positive nature, only the spin. Even when they read it, they have somebody telling them, "Oh no, this is good and positive." Killing the firstborn is good. Yeah, somehow they have some spin for that, and either you just are so lost that you have to believe it, that you have to believe there's a positive message, that you are so blind that you can't even remotely see. You can't even uh, you just can't see.
I mean, it has to be that people are just so. I mean, I don't even know, just like disheartened in the whole way that life and the world has gone for them that they have to find something like this. Like, it seems weird. Like, I can't even imagine somebody going to church after they've read this. Like, people that still believe it. Like, I know there are people out there that have actually read the book. Now they find a positive message and they still enjoy going to church. Like, I just find that very strange. Like, how is that possible? I would really like to know. I don't get it. I don't understand how somebody can read this death and destruction. Give me your gold. Give me your lands. I'll turn this in paradise into a wasteland. Give me your firstborn kid. Let's mutilate our kids. Let's cause them to wander through the desert for 40 years. Let's send snakes after them. Let's kill them for setting a fire the wrong way. If you don't eat your food this right way, you're gone. Or you can't eat this. You can't eat that. Don't worship this God. Don't marry these women. Don't do this. Don't do that. Do this. Worship me on your knees. for everything I do for you. Don't question anything.
And it's okay to spear a pregnant woman in the other places whenever we go attack and pillage. I mean, it just goes on. I mean, that is actually what God commands. It's just wow. Yeah, I agree with you. But that is the importance of what we're doing. We didn't get into reading this book thinking this is what we were going to discover.
Well, no, I really had a positive message, and like, even though that I knew a lot of it was bad before reading it because I've read it, but it was at a much younger age, I wanted to find some positive things. Like, I wanted to see that other people were right. Like, they had something that maybe I didn't fully know or understand, and I was wrong.
Yeah, you were very wrong, and I was very wrong as well. And which even brings the reason why you have stayed with us this long, why we continue to do this, because it's incumbent upon the citizens of the world to understand why the world works the way it does. And if you don't understand the foundations of religion, which rule nations and they rule people and they create the impetus for sycophants to rule us, and we have a book and preachers telling us, render unto Caesar what is Caesar's. I mean, if you don't see that as propaganda for handing over everything to big government, then you got a problem. It's important for us to know. It's important for us to explore. It's important for us to take time out of our busy lives to understand what it is. Or we just walk through life guessing and not knowing and continuing to allow everything and everyone to rule and run over us.
I mean, it really boils down to just that. But then you come into the problem of, man, I'm halfway through this book and it's crap. Do I finish it? Like, as a layperson, I know you out there with us, we are going to finish this because we set out this task. But, I mean, every time I go to pick up this to do our work, I really get depressed. Like, I know it's going to be, like, labor-intensive work. Like, I would rather take a beating. Like, so, as a layperson, you know it's this bad, this far through. What would make you continue? Like, just the thought of wanting to know what it is? I mean, every book's the same. It's evil. And then you get to a book like this where we're over halfway through the Bible and they're recapping all the evils, and maybe they can put a positive spin on it. You're like, I just don't, like, what makes a person keep reading this that doesn't see any positive message at all?
Oh, nothing. I would say you would, as just a regular average Joe Blow, you start reading it and you go, well, I was wrong. I should probably get more in tune with nature and the universe and the infinite intelligence in a different way, because this is definitely not a portrayal of what I would consider infinite intelligence and a goodness, a honest, forthright, non-fickled, good energy. This is not that. This is a book of extreme propaganda.
I mean, extreme is really the only word that you can use to really express the level of which it really is. I think a lot of people throw around extreme or evil, and they don't really know how to use it correctly. Or the word evil is tied to religion. But when you look at this book, God is evil, and he has said he is evil several times. And he does take it to the extreme. I think genocide is one of the few times you can really say that's an extreme measure. And he hasn't done it once, twice. He's done it a lot. I mean, a lot. And he revels in it. Not only does he revel in it, he likes to bring you back and remember that he did that. And he wants you to praise him for killing entire generation of people in Egypt, say 600 years later, 1,000 years later, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 years later. This is still to be brought up as doctrine
to make you better.
Yeah, well, to make you better. Like, really, what makes you better after reading this? I find it hard to find not only a positive message, but to look at the world in a really dim light. Like, this is what most people believe here anyway, and I'm like, how can I even have a conversation with you? Because people bring it up all the time.
It's a difficult proposition to have a conversation with anyone that is not really knowledgeable, and if they are really knowledgeable, then it can go good or bad. I just would rather walk off, because if you can read that and think there's goodness in there, then I really don't have time for you. Even though we're connected somehow, and you know, we have a lot of that's a whole different subjects, but man, it's very difficult. It's just like trying to talk to anyone about untaught histories in the world, you know, and what goes on behind closed doors in smoky rooms that control most all of mankind. So,
You know, speaking of untaught histories in the world, because of the situation over the last 2 years of which the entire planet has found itself in, and the information that we're getting and have been given, it really makes me think, especially of biblical times. For instance, what we just talked about, the plagues, and going back to Psalms, and they're worshiping the plagues that were sent out by God. They're worshiping those actions. They're praising them. Mm-hmm. You know, what will the world say in 10 years or 15 years about this situation?
Or 100 years.
Yeah. Like, what will the story really come out and say? Are the people like you and I the outliers? And they say, oh, those were the crazy people. And they go and they edit every book, every video that's on the internet, and they change all the comments, or, you know, that because they'll have that capability within the next 5 years of deleting any negative comments off of what they want on the mainstream. And this is basically what's happened here, is anybody that spoke out against anybody in the Bible, they die. There's entire wars over it. Just look at the I can't even say his name, the Bahalalam guy. Yeah, I mean, you know, they spoke out against this thing, and look at the terrible deaths they were put to. All right, have a good day.